Okay, this video is going to talk through section 5.1 and 5.2 on writing and using linear equations in slope-intercept form. So the first couple problems I think are pretty easy and very similar to the ones we talked about today. If the slope is 1 and the y-intercept is 7, what's the equation of the line? We know that our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, and the m is the slope, so I'm going to replace my m with a 1. B is my y-intercept. I'm going to replace that with a negative 7 or minus 7. So that's it for number 1. Number 2 should be equally as easy. Y equals 3/4, because that's my slope, x. My y-intercept is negative 3, so minus 3. The third problem, writing an equation of a line that I give you. So if I show you a line, you should be able to pick out two good points on that line. I would say the two good points on this line would be 0, 1, and the point 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1. Whether visually finding your rise or your run or doing it mathematically, you should be able to do it either way. My rise here, traveling from one point to the other, would be a negative 2. My run would be a positive 4. So the slope of this line would be a negative 1/2. The y-intercept, since I can see my y-axis, is pretty clear. It was also given to us as one of our points. My y-intercept is a positive 1. Knowing that information, sorry about that interruption. Knowing that information, I should be able to plug in negative 1/2 x plus a positive 1. Okay, our fourth and fifth example, they do not give us a visual of the graph, but they do give us points. So I should be able to mathematically figure out what my slope is by subtracting my y-coordinates, so negative 2 minus 4, and putting that over the difference between my x-coordinates, 0 minus 8. I'm going to get a negative 6 over a negative 8. I always want to reduce my slope because it's going to make my life easier. I'm going to get 3/4 as my slope. Again, my y-intercept, while it was not shown as a graph, we should know that our y-intercept should always start with an x of 0. That means it's going to fall on my y-axis. So if I know that I need to plug in my slope for my m, and my y-intercept was given as a negative 2, if I look at example 5, while they have not given us points written the same way, they actually have. Remember, I should finish that thought. They actually have given us the points. Remember, f of x is equal to y. So when they tell you f of negative 3 is equal to 6, they're telling you that when your x is negative 3, your y is 6. Likewise, when your x is 0, your y is 5. So while it may be using function notation, and it might look a little bit different, we're giving the same information that we have for number 4. We're going to subtract our x and y coordinates to find our slope. 6 minus 5 over negative 3 minus 0, or 1 over negative 3. That's the slope of our line. The y-intercept, again, is that point where my x is 0. It's the y-coordinate where my x is 0. So my equation would be y equals 1/3 x plus a positive 5. So let's talk about some problems that would challenge us a little bit more. Here we have the equation of a line. We need to find the equation of a line that passes through the point negative 1, 3 and has a slope of 4. What's challenging about this is that clearly we have not been given our y-intercept. So let's see how we can take the information we have been given to figure out what that y-intercept is. Here are our steps. The first step, identify the slope. That's pretty easy because it was given to us in our problem. Now we're going to find the y-intercept. We're going to substitute the slope into our equation, and we're going to take the point that we've been given, the x and the y, and we're going to plug them into the equation. So my x was a -1, and my y was a 3, so I'm going to plug them in. Now I'm simply going to solve for b. -4 times -1 is a +4 plus b. I'm going to use my inverse operations. I see that b must then be equal to -1. So my slope is -4. That was given to me in the original problem. I figured out that my y-intercept was a -1. You could also write this as -4x minus 1. These guys are the same thing. The last type of problem we're going to take a look at is problems where we have our y-intercept not given to us, but we do not even have our slope. So we have neither a slope or our y-intercept given for this problem. But we do have 2 points that we can use to figure it out. So again, I've written our 3 steps going down the side here. Our first step is going to be calculate our slope. So I'm going to subtract my y values, 5 minus a -1. And in my denominator, I'm going to subtract my x values, -2 minus 2. I'm going to get 6 over a -4. Again, I want to reduce that to 3 over 2, and it's negative. Remember, if I have 1 negative, that means my slope is negative. If I have 2, my slope is positive. So there's my slope. Just like the previous problem, I'm going to plug in for my slope, -3 over 2, and I don't know what my y-intercept is, so I have to use the x and the y given to me. For this last problem, I have a choice. I can pick the 2, -1, or -2, 5. Either one would work just fine. I'm going to pick -2, 5. So I'm going to plug in -2 for my x value and 5 for my y value. I'm going to write that over here just so I remember which point I picked. Again, it does not matter. It would work just fine to pick the other point. And now I'm going to solve. -3 over 2 times -2 would give me a +3 plus b. Subtract 3 from both sides, and it's telling me that my y-intercept, or my b, would be equal to 2. And now I'm just going to plug them in. -3 over 2x plus a +2. What I have written out for you as the last slide is just kind of a summary of all of the notes that we just took. We talked about really 4 different types of problems. One where we're given the slope and the y-intercept. All we have to do is plug them in. The second type of problem is where we're given 2 points. One of them's the y-intercept. I have to calculate the slope using my formula, plug in my slope, and the y-intercept which was given. The third type of problem is where I'm given 1 point and a slope. This is where I need to plug in for my slope and use my 1 point to find my y-intercept. Then plug those in to my final answer. Finally, the last type of problem is where I have 2 points and neither one is my y-intercept. This is where I need to calculate the slope, then pick one of the 2 points to plug in and solve for your y-intercept. Here's a quick note for number 4. It did not matter, sorry, let me get that on the screen. It did not matter whether or not I picked the 3, 0 or the 2, -4. I just happened to pick the 3, 0. So if I were you, I would go back and pause this video and copy this summary down, because I think it's a good kind of reference for you to go back and look at as we cover 5, 1, and 5, 2.